There's no people yet.
It takes a second. Oh,
Okay.
Nature's Blossom Birth is live.
I'm live.
Yeah. Let me share you.
Hi.
Oh, now I can hear us.
Now you're following. Are you? There you are. Okay, let me set us up. Okay, that looks good. Hi,
Hey,
everybody.
guys. Hey, Robin. Thanks for coming on now. Hey, Diana.
Diana.
It's so far away. I'm like,
I know, like, who is that? There should be a way to do this on your
laptop. I know. Hey, guys. Okay, wait. Sorry. I'm going to
okay.
share this out to my people, and I got a text message at the same time.
So, hi, if you just started following me, I'm a birth doula with Nature's Blossom Birth, and I'm one of the Thrive Mama Collect. You can, that's cool. You can use two devices for comments.
Yeah,
That's
I think
awesome.
that you can get on Periscope on your desktop and like comment or whatever.
That's
Hey,
cool.
Melinda. Hey, guys, will you tell us real quick where you're from? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
This is like Megan's thing, and I'm like, it's really hard for me not to
It's
do
okay.
that. Hey, so if you're just now hopping on, will you tell us where you're from and cool, Virginia, El Paso, Texas. Hey, Belinda.
Hey.
Los Angeles, cool.
Oklahoma.
Katie, I know Katie. New Mexico, Brazil, cool.
Temecula. Upland.
California. Awesome. All over the place. Wyoming. Awesome. Oh, are there storms? It rained here for like half a second. Now it's sunny. Should we be worried about storms?
Probably.
Russia. Okay,
It's
cool.
fine. We'll be fine. There's a bathroom over there. It's in the center of...
Tornado on the ground in Sulphur.
That's really far away from here, though.
Is it?
I don't know. Like an hour.
Okay, if there's a tornado like headed to Oklahoma City, then let us know.
Text Tavia. Because we're using my phone.
We're dumb.
You're right. We should probably be
Okay.
paying attention to the weather. So anyways, if you just started following me, I'm a doula and I own Nature's Blossom Birth, and I have a podcast called Birthy Stuff, and I'm trying to work on it when I can, and I'm really bad about it, but you know, we're working on that. But what I'd like to do is start using Periscope for the podcast and talking to you guys through Periscope and with my guests, and then posting it later on YouTube and on my podcast. So if you miss the Periscope, you can still watch it later on YouTube, or you can listen to it whenever you get a chance. So if you get a chance, you can go through my Facebook or my Twitter, and you can go on my website and sign up for following my podcast. And then you'll get notifications. Or just follow me on social media, and you'll get it that way too. So today, I'm talking to Tavia, and a lot of you already know her, but we're talking about... I know, Belinda, it's getting so long.
So you have to answer that. You have to
I
say
know.
that out loud for your podcast.
Oh,
people.
sorry.
We were like talking about how hard it's going to be to do this with podcasts, because then we're just reading comments.
I know.
Belinda said Megan's hair is really long,
And
which is
it
completely irrelevant if you're listening to
I
the
know, on the podcast, you're not going to know that. My hair has grown
Hey,
a
Anna.
lot. And also at the end, yeah, right, squirrel. Somebody commented squirrel. At the end of what we have planned out to talk about, we're going to open up to you guys for questions if you have any, or comments or whatever, and then we'll answer whatever questions you have for me or Tavia. So
First, they need to invite their followers.
yes, invite your followers. This is why I have Tavia here, because she helps me.
If you have people that you think like birth-related things or doula, photography, whatever, we love it if you would invite followers, please. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Beth.
Thanks, Belinda.
J.R. Deason, thank you. Sorry. Look up our
We're
noses.
like, do I have any boogers?
Yeah. Okay,
Can you
so
look for me?
now...
Now we'll get started. So, I guess, Tavia, first, why do you think people should have a birth photographer?
So, birth photography, I relate a lot to wedding photography in that... Am I looking at you?
You can, or you can look at the camera.
Okay. You know, it's an important day in your life that goes by really, really quickly. And hey, Bailey. Bailey's one of my birth photography clients. So she can chime in.
Yeah.
So-
Read your comments.
Yeah, so why you need a birth photographer? You know, a lot of people, whenever I tell them I'm a birth photographer, ask, why would you want photos of that? And people automatically, their mind goes to crowning photos, like the actual birth. And it's so much more than that. Like, it's like having a wedding photographer. It's not just about your first kiss.
It's
Or the
the-
actual act of getting married.
Yeah.
It's, you know, leading up to that moment and everything that happens after, and just telling the story of a super important day. So I actually have some pictures here that I can share. Well, I shouldn't do that because it's on a podcast.
Yeah. You can go to Tavia's website.
Yeah,
We'll post the
Just,
website
you
on all
know,
the
like
things. You can
things
look at
like
the pictures.
husband supporting mom during labor,
Meeting your baby
doula
for the first
supporting
time.
mom during labor, seeing your baby for the first time. She said share. Okay,
Okay.
I'll quickly show like while I'm talking if I can get my camera close enough. So just like siblings meeting baby or siblings during labor, and just detail things that you forget about that go by really quickly. There's lots of images of dad supporting mom during labor. And then of course my number one favorite thing, which is getting to meet your baby for the first time, and just all the emotions that are related to that is my absolute favorite. And so, you know, it takes a trained person to know how to capture these moments because they really happen so fast. And then you have them forever to look back on and just remember the feelings. Like you have a photo to go with how you remember things happening. And then just sort of snuggling and seeing your baby for the first time and really looking at their little face. I had a birth photographer and don't regret it at all. Wish I would have had one with my first. I hear that
Yeah.
so often.
I hear that a lot too about a lot of things. Like,
Right.
there's a lot of things that you wish you would have done with your first that you're like, oh, it's okay, we can't really afford it, so it's not that big of a deal. And it's something that you really regret not having sometimes, because when you're in that like birthy whatever place in your head, there's all these moments happening and you're not going to remember that later.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have picture and or video, you're not going to remember like you'll remember those emotions, but when you see the picture and you see the video, like all of those emotions rush back to when you met your baby the first time.
Yes. Yeah, there's just so many details that you forget about,
Yeah.
you know, and things that you're like, it's so blurry looking back. Like,
Yeah.
that's why I love doulas, because they help interpret, you know, what happened when and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It just all sort of runs together. So then you have a doula and birth photographer to help you remember the whole story. I have a few phone pics of my babies. I really wish I would have hired someone next go around though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I get a lot of, and maybe Megan does too for doula
Yeah.
clients, second plus time moms that say, I wish that I would have hired. Because, you know, I think first time moms think it's
Keep
going
scooting away.
I'm sorry.
You're out of frame. It's okay.
I get a lot of first time moms that think they want it to be this intimate thing between them and their husband, and
Right.
I totally get that, and it can be, but especially if you're in a hospital situation, there's nurses and people coming out in and out constantly, and especially when it's time to deliver, you know.
Yeah, there's going to be at least 5 people you don't know in the room if you're in the
Right.
hospital.
So you're not going to notice a birth photographer. It's one of my serious regrets from my birth with my second, especially now as a birth photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Me too,
Yeah.
girl. Me too. It took 3 babies for me to hire a birth photographer.
And that last comment about the phone pictures of your baby, that kind of segues into the next question we had, was why have a birth photographer and a doula?
Everyone needs a birth photographer. I've loved looking back at number 3's birth picture. Oh, thank you,
Yeah.
Bailey. Bailey's my client, and I photographed her birth.
Aww.
So I'm a little biased.
Tavia's pretty dang
but-
good at taking birth pictures.
Thanks, Bailey.
But I have a lot of doula clients, and I put a disclaimer on my handout that I'll try to get pictures if I can, but I'm not a professional and don't expect them, and they're going to be on my phone, so they're not going to be high quality. And obviously, some pictures is better than no pictures, but
Right.
but hiring a photographer in addition to your birth doula is really beneficial to you, because you're going to get way better pictures all throughout your labor and your birth. And a lot of times I'm busy supporting you, so I can't take out my phone or camera or whatever and take a picture of you.
Right.
meeting your baby. I'm busy helping you, holding your hands or doing counter pressure or something like that. So that's why I just feel like it's so important to go ahead and spend a little extra money and hire a birth photographer, because it's not something you're going to regret at all.
No, I've never had anyone say like, man, I really wish I didn't have those photos.
I know. Dang, why do I have those pictures of the first time I met my baby?
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing, there's a lot of photographer, videographer was my second hire, second informed after finding out I was pregnant. Yeah,
Good.
that happens to me a lot, actually. It's like, I just found out I'm pregnant. Are you available?
Yeah.
Like, well, yes, because you just found out you were pregnant.
Right.
They usually regret not having one for all the kids. Yeah, totally, Robin. Do you use flash? If so, is that bothersome to the mom? Yes, I'll answer that at the end, Brittany. Is that okay? That way we don't get too terribly off track.
Yeah, we have like specific things.
The very short answer is yes, I do use flash, and no, it doesn't bother mom. But I can go into more detail in a little bit.
Thanks, Brittany.
So to the whole doula birth photographer thing, I know that there's a lot of birth photographers who are doulas and doulas who are birth photographers. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a good a decent option if that's all you can afford.
Right.
However, ideally, I think that yes, flash and no one cares, Robin says. Yeah, that's definitely true. You just aren't guaranteed that your doula is going to be in a position where they can take the photos that you're hoping in a birth situation. And typically doulas aren't trained in photography, and vice versa. I'm not trained to be a doula. I've been to a lot of births, but I've never done doula training, so I couldn't act as a doula. So that's why for my third baby, I hired 2 separate people. I had my doula doing her thing, and I had my photographer doing her thing. That way they could each focus on what they were doing, because I had specific expectations for both of them.
Right. And I did the same thing. With my first, I didn't have a doula or a photographer, and I wished I had had both. And so with my second, I had like 5 doulas and a photographer and
massaging
all
parts of your body at once.
Well, there were friends there that were doulas, so all my bases were covered. And then I had a friend, Belinda, who's watching right now. She's a doula and a birth photographer, and so I had her there. And
I do both here in Iowa. I'm a newborn birth maternity photographer and a massage doula.
Ooh.
Oh, cool.
So are you trained in? We'll come back to that.
Belinda wave.
Hi, Belinda. There she is. So yeah, I really regretted not doing that the first time, and so I really wanted it the second time, and I found a way. There can never be too many doulas. I agree.
Robin.
I agree.
Hey, if you're just hopping on, you can swipe and share this at any time if you think your followers might think it's interesting. Hey, Laura Cora. Sorry I interrupted you.
No, that's
fine.
fine.
Not making a very good podcast. I'm sorry, podcast.
You're fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine.
I have a one-track mind on Periscope.
I think most people will be watching, not necessarily listening.
Okay.
But it's fine.
Good.
Anyways, so I don't remember what I was saying, Tavia. You interrupted me.
Sorry.
Thanks. And for those of you who just joined, I'm also going to be posting this on YouTube. So if you follow me on Facebook or Twitter, I'll post the link to my YouTube channel once it's up. And I'll probably post it today at some point after I finish my last school assignment that I need to get done. So
we were talking about doula and birth photographers, like why you should have them separate.
Yeah.
But I think that we pretty much covered it.
I think so.
Yeah.
And then, so this is something that I actually feel, having a variety of professionals. Yes, everybody there is there for a specific job. Like, expecting your midwife to be your doula at the same time as catching your baby is unrealistic. My mother-in-law isn't trained but is a wonderful doula for me, which makes choosing a photographer easy. That's awesome. A lot of people don't want their mom or mother-in-law in the room with them, though. Like, I love the births where, like, the whole family's involved and they're all
You got a lot of hearts for saying that.
Yeah. But it's true. Like, most people don't want their mother-in-law in the room with them or their own mom because they just have, like, nervous energy. And it is sometimes hard for your mom to watch you do what you need to do to have your baby.
Right.
And sometimes they're really awesome, great support. True, like, don't let my mom in the room. Yeah, that's very true. I hear that all the time. Most of my clients, it's just me and mom and dad, and that's it. And a photographer. But it's very rarely like family in the room. And sometimes there's 20 people in the room and they want all the people and all the things. But the next thing on our list to talk about is why have a birth photographer and not your family photographer there. So this is actually something I feel more strongly about than Tavia. I think.
do? I feel pretty strongly about it.
I don't know, but every time we talk about it, I'm like, oh my God, no, they need to hire a birth photographer. And the reason is because the births that I've experienced where they had just their family photographer, I understand most women think I'm crazy, but she's so calm and keeps me calm. That's awesome.
Oh, your mom, that's cool. I didn't mind having my mom there at certain points.
My mom was at all both of mine, but
we're fortunate.
Yeah. But I didn't want her doulas me. I'm like, you can be in the room, but don't touch me or talk to me. Like, you're welcome to
stay in the corner.
Yeah, stay over there. Don't do anything. Make sure Trevor eats and drinks and pees occasionally. That's it. So something I feel really strongly about is not having your family photographer there as your birth photographer, because they don't know what birth is like, especially natural birth. It's not in our culture to know what birth is like. So they're there and they're like asking you questions while you're pushing your baby out instead of being quiet behind the camera like a birth photographer is. Anybody that asks me about becoming a birth photographer, I tell them, you need to be like a photography ninja in the room, and they need to think that you're not even there. Otherwise, you're interrupting those moments, and you're not capturing moments that you could be. Plus, let family be there as family and focus on not capturing the shot. Birth photographers know the best angles, and they can be discreet, non-badge angles. That's true. And, like, one experience I had was, hey, do you want pictures of your baby crowning while she's pushing? And it's like, no, I don't know right now. Take the picture and we can delete it later.
Yeah, Robin, that was totally what I was going to say was, family photographers. And I have like an FAQ on my blog that I send to every single birth inquiry that I get, or different light sources. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I talk about is like, you have to hire somebody who knows how to shoot in low light conditions, because it's not the same as going out in a field and shooting a family in daylight. Unless your sister is a birth photographer.
That's awesome.
That's cool. Yeah. So it's just completely different. Birth is. There's just so many unknowns. It's completely different than a 1 hour portrait session out in a field somewhere. And so that's the big difference too. It's not only knowing how to be in the birth, but knowing how to shoot it well, no matter what the lighting situation is like.
And like what moments to capture. Like there's the birth, but that's not it. There's also meeting your baby and nursing your baby for the first time. And if the siblings are awake and it's not in the middle of the night, like meeting the siblings for the first time.
And anticipating what comes next. Yeah,
right,
definitely. Yeah. And when you've been to enough births, this is going to happen, then this is going to happen. And exactly. And you're totally ready for it. And of course, it's not always completely the same, but generally, home births, hospital births, each of them sort of have their own flow. And so a birth photographer knows what to expect and what's coming next so that they know how to capture that well.
Right.
Yeah.
So Tavia, how do you find a birth photographer?
Well, number one, I would say ask your provider if they have someone that they've worked with before. So I would say ask your midwife or your doctor or your doula if they have somebody that they recommend, because if they're recommending them, they work well with them.
Right.
And that's someone that they're comfortable with there, and that's where I would start. Of course, Google is always a good place to go to find someone, and also asking friends and family for recommendations. So I get a lot of clients that saw their friends' birth photos and want photos like that, and they contact me. So if you have someone who photographed your friend's birth, then what did you say?
How much do you charge and when do you come to the birth?
Okay, I'll answer that in a second. Lost it. Lost
your
what
friend
I was saying.
and referrals.
Yeah, referrals. Yes. So it's catching on now. So you might know somebody who had a birth photographer. So that's another way that I would find birth photographer.
Yes.
Okay.
So now we can answer questions.
Yes.
What was that first question a while back?
The first question was talking about using flash in a birth. If you have
Okay.
questions, feel free to type them in. Anything about birth photography, why you would have a birth photographer, doulas, relationships, why would my doula just take pictures, anything like that.
Why your doula wants you to have a photographer.
I know the answer to that.
I like seeing the pictures later too.
I know.
And, you know, something to post on my website.
Mhm.
I'm not going to lie about it.
We like working
and
together.
It's like something I definitely don't have to worry about because I want my clients to have pictures of that moment.
Right. Absolutely. And I tell my clients too, like, even if you're not planning a natural birth, I still recommend hiring a doula because they can help with so much. Even if you're not wanting a natural birth, even if your plan is to go in and have an epidural. Sorry.
So you bounce
Squirrel.
flash off the ceiling?
Yes, I bounce my flash off the ceiling. I have a speed light. So I always tell my clients in the birth consultation, I'm not going to use my flash unless I absolutely have to. But you hired me for good photos. And sometimes, especially in a home birth situation where it's really dark, it's really, really hard to get good quality photos when it's that dark. So I know when it's appropriate to use it and when it's not appropriate to use it. And I will... Do you do special training or just jump in with both feet? Oh, did I do special? Do you mean using the flash?
Birth photography?
Or birth photography? I was using a flash at birth yesterday and no one was bothered by the flash. Yeah, that's the thing. So I talk about it with moms ahead of time and I tell them I'll use it if I have to and go through that whole spiel. And most moms are like, I don't care. Like, use the flash. It's fine.
Birth photography.
Excuse me. Oh, I started birth photography when basically nobody was really doing it around here in 2011. I don't think that if there were, I mean, there was like 2 or 3 and it wasn't really like a thing. And I'm not even sure where I heard about it, but yeah, basically I just jumped in with both feet. Like I had been a photographer for a couple of years and just started my business and pretty much started right away with birth photography. I did one birth for free and then started charging after that and was just hooked and have been doing that ever since. So basically jumped in with both feet. Most moms who hire a birth photographer, they trust their professional judgment. Oh, for the flash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brittany, I don't know if you're following me or not, but I'm going to be doing, birth photography training, coming up soon. So if you go follow me, I'm going to talk about that soon. When it comes on Periscope, Yeah. When it comes to flash, most moms trust my judgment and most moms having a natural birth and even not a natural birth don't even notice or care. Since it's
Most
a
of the time
bounce
their
flash.
eyes are closed.
Yeah.
Like when you're, especially with natural birth, when you're like in the middle of it and you're really focused, your eyes are closed most of the time.
Yes.
So
someone just said they're so in the zone that they don't even notice, and that's totally true. So
and it's not like a flash like right here. It's
right.
like
it's not a pop-up
somewhere
flash.
else.
It's a bounce flash, so it basically, like what I tell clients is it lights up the room versus like a pop-up flash that's just flashing in your face.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like turning a light on and then off. It's not like blaring in your face.
I don't go in till mom is 5 centimeters. When do you go in?
So that again is, my Periscope name is Tavia Redburn. I will hop on and comment. Hi.
Redburn,
Sorry that this is boring for your podcasters.
No, you're fine.
Okay, there's me.
Go follow Tavia.
Thanks. I go in when mom's in active labor. So that looks different for everybody because 5 centimeters, she could be walking around to 5 centimeters and not even in like active labor.
Now,
So,
like the new thing is 6 centimeters is active labor, considered active labor. But it all depends on how mom is acting, and
which
you
is
can
why
go
I
from
love
2 to 10 like in an hour.
Yes, and that's why I love working with doulas because they are aware of like, oh, she's different now. She's more quiet. She's not talking and joking between contractions and that kind of a thing. So I base more on that than how many centimeters they are because centimeters really don't mean anything. And I've had moms go from 4 to 10 centimeters literally in like 2 hours. So I base it more on how they're acting.
Right.
Yeah.
Belinda, I was 5 centimeters for 3 days with my first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Like people could just be walking around 5 centimeters.
My whole second was 4 hours. I feel you, Belinda. It's crazy. Yeah, that just goes to show, like, you never know. and their birth history, yeah.
Right.
But sometimes it doesn't make a difference what their birth history is. A lot of times the first baby takes a really long time and the second baby is less than 5 hours.
But we know that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
so
we're aware of that.
there was a birth we did together not that long ago. 4 weeks ago?
Something like that, yeah.
And I was there, and they had texted Tavia and told her, like, hey, we're headed to the hospital, whatever. And she was asleep, and, like, they texted her. They didn't call. So then I called, and I was like, things are getting a little more serious. You should come. Mm-hmm. And so there was that added benefit of having the doula there saying, like, no, she's getting active now.
Because moms that sit in denial for so long about like how far along they are, and the doula really knows what's going on, and the doula can say, I'm going to go ahead and call your birth photographer because it's happening faster than you think it's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that baby was born like 4 or 5 hours after you were there.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't.
You were right.
Like, you need to come. Because you don't want to walk in while they're pushing and get pictures. You want to get some of the story leading up to it.
Right. Yeah, I always tell people I'll come whenever you want me to come. I usually say active labor just because I don't want to sit and stare at you while you're having contractions that are like this and you can sit and talk to me. I mean, I will, but...
That's a great thing. The doula knows when it's getting real. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially like an experienced doula who sees people in labor all the time, then we know like when she's getting really into her birth zone, then it's like, okay, Tavia, you need to come because she's getting real quiet and...
Right. Yeah, she was laughing and joking between contractions, and now she's being quiet and all that jazz.
Now she's not.
Right.
So, do y'all have any other questions or anything?
Somebody else asked something and I forgot what it was. It was about birth photography. I think it was Brittany? I forgot.
Cost? Oh, yeah.
Oh, cost.
Unless you're Megan and cutting up during active. Yeah, I was in denial that my baby was about to come out. That's what happens.
Good thing she had a team who told her photographer when to come. Cost, I'll touch on that.
So I was laughing and joking during contractions and had my baby an hour later. Midwife missed it. Yeah.
Some people are tricky. Some people don't
like
show the regular signs
That's
of
how
having
I was
a baby.
with my second. But I could tell by the strength of my contractions, like, oh my gosh, this is going to happen soon. But that was like the doula in me was like, I need my birth team here. Something's happening.
So cost of birth photography is going to vary widely depending on a lot of things. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if you're asking me as a birth photographer how to price yourself, or if you're asking me as a client what you could expect to pay. So if you could tell me, that would help. But I think you're asking as a birth photographer what you should charge. And there's so much that goes into that. And that's a huge part of what I'm going to be talking about, or some of what I'm going to be talking about in what I'm like writing up. And I haven't decided if it's going to be an ebook or like an e-course or what exactly I'm going to do. But it's important to think about your cost of doing business and childcare, on-call childcare.
As a photographer, are you charging a flat fee?
Yes and no. So I don't charge by the hour or anything like that. Like, it's the same price if you have a 5-hour labor or if you have a 50-hour labor. I'm not going to put that kind of pressure on a mom. Okay, I've been here my 10 hours and now I'm going to be charging you by the hour.
Or, now it's going to cost you $50 an hour until you have your baby.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. And I don't think that most birth photographers would do that. I hope not. So it's a flat fee in that sense. Thank you for all the hearts. They like that.
Yeah. Don't be a jerk.
Right. I mean, it just seems like common sense to me. Yeah. And it all works out in the end. Our area charges so
$500.
So I would encourage you to just think about your cost of doing business as far as you're going to pay 30% in taxes on that, assuming you're in the U.S. And then think about so my average time at a labor is like 10, 12 hours usually. Sometimes they're longer, sometimes they're less, more like 10. And so you have to think about how long you're there hourly, not to mention the amount of time that you're on call. So I go on call starting at 37 weeks until mom has her baby, and that could be 42 plus for some of these crazy people who gestate their babies a really long time.
500.
Yeah, I'm being nice, Robin. I'm being nice. So I don't want to tell you what to charge. I want you to critically think about all of these factors that will help you not get burned out, because I see a lot of birth photographers start out gung-ho, and while I love it, it's really, really hard on my family, and Megan knows about this, to be on call. My average birth client spends $2,000 to $3,000, yeah, and Robin's in California too. So I think that your cost of living does play a factor. However, yeah.
Yeah, cost of living is huge.
Right. But these things are important. So if you have kids, where are they going to go? How much is that going to cost? An on-call babysitter is not cheap, because they're on call too if you have to go in the middle of the night. Experience of the photographer does play into it, and that's something that I recommend people ask their photographer how many births they've shot and what kind of births they've shot. So if you're having a home birth, have they ever shot a home birth? If so, how many, and what were they like? In the $800 to $1,500 range in the Midwest is reasonable. Right. So I agree, Belinda. I think that was Belinda.
Yeah. It was.
Okay. I figured. And so as a photographer, you just have to consider mainly your on-call time. I can't go out of town. I can't be away from my phone. I have 3 moms on call right now. I've done over 50 at this point. I'm not totally sure. I don't really keep track, but definitely over 50, but I'm not sure how much more than that.
Catching up to you.
So that's some basic information on how I'd go about pricing birth photography and some things to think about. So I hope that was helpful, and I hope that answered your question. And if there's any other questions, we're happy to answer them. Thank you for the hearts. I hope this is helpful. There's 15 like silent people here, so I hope that
they're listening to our instructions to ask questions at the end.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, thanks for the hearts, guys.
72.
Oh, awesome.
The comment says, yes, thanks. I'm at 72 births. That's awesome.
Oh, I do that too, Robin, all the time.
Price where you want to be, and you can always offer a discount. Don't undercut yourself. That's true. And I think that's same for doulas as well. Like, sometimes there's families where you know that they see the value in what you're doing, and they can't necessarily afford your full fee. I'm not speaking for Tavia, I'm speaking for myself. And that sometimes I'm okay with giving a discount because...
Aw, thank you.
You both are amazing.
What's your name? I need to know your name.
That's Bethany.
Oh, Bethany. I don't know Bethany.
Bethany Schneeberger? I think I'm pronouncing her name right.
Oh, cool.
She works at the Green Bambino.
Oh, okay, cool. Thanks. She's like, oh.
She's seen me work. She was at like the second birth I ever went to.
Oh.
Yeah, she was, Schneeberger. Did I pronounce it right? I hope I pronounced it right.
Sorry,
anyway, so yeah, she was there. Yeah, it was my first C-section. I've only attended one other since then, so that's not bad.
You have a good rate.
I have a very good C-section rate, yeah.
I joke with my clients that I have a good C-section rate, and I have nothing to do with it. Like unplanned C-sections.
Oh, the comment says, thanks for the great scope. I'm new to Periscope. Follow me back. You guys are great. Thank you for coming and listening.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So I guess we're done. You guys can follow Tavia on Periscope.
Yes, you can.
She commented it's Tavia Redburn. Is there any underscores or anything?
Nope. If someone would type that in the comments, that would be great. Tavia Redburn. I know some of you might know how to spell it.
Any good birth photography Facebook groups you recommend?
Mine.
What's your Facebook group?
It is Professional Birth Photographers. You should be able to join just that. Yeah, I have one. Yes, I do. It's Professional Birth Photographers. Katie, I think that you might be in it.
Tavia Redburn Photography.
Yes. So my Periscope name is just Tavia Redburn. Thank you. Birth photography is my favorite. It is my favorite too. Laura Cora. Yes, I have a group. It is Professional Birth Photographers. Maybe I should write it down. Well, you guys can spell that. There's no pen. It's
Sorry.
over. It's over.
We didn't come prepared.
Yeah, I'm in that one too. Birth Photography CC, Constructive Criticism. There's also the Birth Photography group. Thank you, Laura. Yeah. Okay, awesome. If you're joining and you don't have your business, does Birth Become Star have a group? Do they have a group? Robin, I don't know. You need to go add yourself if you're not.
So the question is, am I in your group, Tavia?
I'm sorry.
I had no idea.
Professional Birth Photographers, and I will add you guys.
And you're starting kind of a not necessarily an organization. Is it?
Oh yeah, no, it's different.
Okay.
So here locally, we've started Oklahoma Birth Photographers Association, which I've talked about on my Periscope a little bit. But basically what we're trying to do is just provide consistent quality birth photographers to our moms in our state in Oklahoma. And so we have 5 or 6 members. We just started at this point. And we all are our own separate businesses, but it's just a way for us to provide consistent quality birth photographers for moms to have choices, basically.
Right.
And just trying to raise the standard a little bit so that birth photographers can live sustainably and make a decent wage and provide good service to their moms.
Yeah, it shouldn't cost you money to do something like this. Like, it shouldn't cost you to be a birth photographer. It shouldn't cost you to be a doula.
Right.
Or cost you to support families.
Right.
You have to, it shouldn't cost your family either.
Right.
Like your time away, your time on call, all of those things you should be compensated for.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Becoming a community of support. Love it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do, is just help each other out and provide consistent quality service so moms know when they come to us they're getting a sort of standard level of professionalism.
Right. Well, if you want to follow Tavia, I think her stuff is in the comments. You can go to my social media and follow me for more future Periscopes. I have a few planned. I have one next week with another doula, and then another one with some other people later. But I have to get that nailed down before I tell you about it. Anyways, thanks for coming, and we'll talk to you later, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
How do I...